Good morning, everyone. Welcome to yet another inspiring book launch event. My name is Hashmeet and I am here on the behalf of team Adhin Books. आशा करती हूँ आप सभी को हमारे ऑथर से मिलना और उनकी कहानियां सुनना पसंद आ रहा होगा। कमेंट्स में जरूर बताएं कि आप कहाँ से ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं। आज हम एक पावरफुल बुक लॉन्च इवेंट कर रहे हैं, द बिलीफ फ्लाई व्हील, हाउ इनर कन्विक्शन टर्न्स एवरीडे एफर्ट इनटू एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी ग्रोथ बाय प्रशंजीत दे। Let's talk about author. Proshenjit Dey is a distinguished business leader, strategist, and a lifelong learner with over 2 decades of experience across leading global organizations such as Nestle, Kellogg, Glanbia, Performance Nutrition, Dr. Reddy's Laboratories, and the Aditya Birla Group. उन्होंने अपना करियर में मार्केटिंग, इनोवेशन, सेल्स और कॉर्पोरेट स्ट्रैटेजी के मल्टीपल डोमेन्स में काम किया है, जहां उन्होंने बिजनेसेस को बिल्ड कर स्केल करने में सिग्निफिकेंट कंट्रीब्यूशन दिया है एंड alumnus prestigious institutions like IIM Calcutta, UCLA Anderson School of Management, and Deakin University, PD blends deep academic insight with real world leadership experience. उनकी जर्नी सिर्फ कॉर्पोरेट सक्सेस तक लिमिटेड नहीं है, बल्कि एक डीपर क्यूरियोसिटी टुवर्ड्स ह्यूमन पोटेंशियल और परफॉर्मेंस से ड्रिवन है। उनका फोकस हमेशा रहा है कि कैसे इंडिविजुअल्स अपनी सोच और बिलीफ सिस्टम को ट्रांसफॉर्म करके एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी रिजल्ट्स क्रिएट कर सकते हैं। प्लीज जॉइन मी इन वेलकमिंग आवर ऑथर। हेलो सर, कैसे हैं आप?
Hello, hi Hashmeet. Such a
Hi
pleasure to
सर।
be in this, to be with you all during this book launch event. Yep, absolute pleasure.
सो हम कॉन्वर्जेशन स्टार्ट करें, क्वेश्चन स्टार्ट करें?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So first question is, what inspired you to write the book, The Belief Flywheel, and what problem does it solve?
Yeah, it's a good question to begin the whole conversation, right? I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, if I were to think about the whole idea of the belief flywheel, this was inspired by the idea that inner conviction, you know, something that's very, 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 very close to you, which is embedded within you, and something that really pushes you forward. That inner conviction can really transform ordinary effort into extraordinary growth. And I was really intrigued with this idea growing up, and I could see the difference in some people going and achieving such great success in their lives, and people who started with probably the same background, the same family, the kind of a culture, they struggled through life. And in my head, I was always grappling with this idea as to what led one to be so successful and the other not as successful as he or she would have loved to be. Now, what this whole idea, the belief flywheel, addresses is the problem of self-doubt, and lack of sustained motivation. And it
Yes.
seeks to offer a framework where belief fuels action, and action then builds results, and these results then amplify themselves, reinforcing that belief, which creates a self-sustaining cycle of progress and growth. And that's the inception of the idea of the belief flywheel. Now, to your second part of the question, and if I understood you, Hashmi, is what problem does it
Yeah.
solve?
Yes,
And
sir.
for me, there are three things that it tries to solve for. One is
Okay.
the challenge of self-doubt. A lot of times, many individuals, and the example that I gave you, two children born in the same family, coming through
Yeah.
the same background, this and what leads one to be successful and the other not to be as successful. They often struggle with inconsistency, the ones that are not as successful, because they don't fully believe in their ability to achieve the long-term goals. I mean, they don't really start with a vision and a long-term goal. And therefore, this whole
Yes.
challenge of self-doubt always creeps in. So for me, that's the first problem that the book tries to solve for. Then there is this whole motivation. I believe motivation is crap. You can start something with a little bit of motivation, but you cannot continue pursuing it. And it needs a little bit more than just motivation. And therefore, effort often tends to fade when results are not forthcoming, when they are not immediate, when you're not able to see the results come through. And this leads to a cycle of frustration. So this is the
Yes,
other
sir.
problem that the book tries to solve for. And the third one is a practical gap that I see in the market today. If you look at the traditional, you go into a bookstore and you find a lot of the self-help books, we often tend to focus on the external strategies. What are the habits, routines, rituals that needs to be built to be successful. But what this book tries to do is to really take you within. What's their internal engine, which is the belief that really, really pushes and sustains those strategies. And that's what the book really tries to solve.
So how can we how can we get like self love and is something like that also written in the book? That like, what is self
Yeah, I
love and
mean,
what is like
yeah. So please go on self love and
like self love, and how can we remove this self doubt from our lives? Like we
oh,
are not
absolutely.
beautiful.
Yeah, I think a limiting beliefs are always this, right? I mean, we are in a culture of always comparing ourselves to someone else around us, right? And we don't really
Yeah,
appreciate what we are born with. And the book
yeah,
tries to really bring that out. So it tries to focus within. While the external environment is important, and I'm not trying to kind of negate that, but what the book tries to do is to really take you with it. It tries to give you a belief system which becomes reinforcing. It tries to tell you that you are complete in yourself. You don't have to look at external validations. You don't have to look for people to come and acknowledge what you are worth. So your self-worth is embedded in terms of who you are, and when you look at yourself from with that lens, everything changes. So the book is, yes, to your question, is a lot about rediscovering yourself, reinforcing your beliefs, and then creating this whole virtuous cycle which takes you towards progress and growth.
yes. So, great. Moving on to the next question. Why do you believe that success is not just a talent and hard work?
Yeah, I think we are so much caught on through this whole idea and notion of success. So while growing up, we are taught that you need to celebrate success, and success is so much about talent and hard work, because these two ingredients, it almost seems like it's essential, and which almost guarantees success. But we know, from our experiences, um, that that doesn't guarantee sustained achievement. Now, what you should think of is think of them as raw materials. You have the finest ingredients. Now you want to cook a exquisite or a or a or a beautiful recipe. Now, what it needs more than just the ingredients, right? It needs the right recipe, it
Yeah,
needs the timing, it needs the environment, and it needs people who are interested. And therefore, if you don't combine all of this, the dish may not come together. And that is where I think talent
yeah,
and hard work often falls short. So basically, why does it fall short? The next question would be, if you were to look at it, there is mindset and belief. Without belief in your ability, talent often goes unused, and hard work feels unsustainable. You know, Conviction is what will keep you moving when results are slow. So I think that mindset and belief is very, very important, which needs to be crafted and harnessed. The second is the whole idea of opportunity and timing. Success often depends on being in the right place at the right time, and it's so very important. I mean, we may not appreciate this as much, but this is extremely critical. We have seen so many talented, hardworking people who never get noticed, right? Because they lack
yeah,
access or some kind of visibility. And then you find, and for me, the other important thing which the book also tries to dwell upon is resilience and adaptability. Everyone is going to hit a wall at some stage in their lives. Whether it's your professional, personal life, you are going to really hit the wall. Hard work at work can often burn out if it isn't paired with resilience, and success requires you to repeatedly bounce back from those setbacks and adapt to change. And therefore resilience and adaptability is so important. uh, Relationships and networks, talent and effort thrive when connected to others. Mentors collaborating, you need mentors who can come, collaborators who can come and work with you, communities which can help amplify your impact. And therefore, those relationships and networks are extremely important. And the last but not the least, would be consistency and compounding. Those sporadic bursts of effort may build some momentum, but success comes from consistent action. You need to be almost manomaniacally obsessed with this whole idea of action that compounds over time, which creates this whole flywheel effect. Yeah, and maybe I can just add a little bit more to it. I think success is therefore is a system. It's not a single act. Now, talent can give you potential, but hard work gives you progress. But belief, resilience,
Yes.
and opportunity are what transforms those into lasting achievement. And therefore, that's why some people with modest talent but unshakable, belief in themselves and persistence often surpasses those who are naturally gifted but inconsistent. And we have seen so many examples. Like you take cricket, you take business, you take your personal life. At work, you'll see some people really overcoming their limitations and achieving great success, and that comes with those ingredients that I just mentioned.
Yes. So, moving on to the next question. Can you briefly explain the BPAR cycle and how it works in real life?
Yeah, I mean, so the cycle is a practical framework, and it stands for belief, potential, action, results. All of
Okay.
us, if you were to look at it, if you were to just consider, all of us are born with a certain potential. We can debate, some people have a higher potential than the others, but there is a potential which is the baseline, right? And based on this,
Yeah.
we often take our actions, and now your actions and then your results. And then if you were to look at the other part of the whole wheel is your results. And what happens is invariably, while growing up, and we are often told, oh, you have great potential, just put in the effort, put in the hard work, and then the results will follow, and don't get too obsessed with the results. And then what happens is, as you go through life, it happens at home, then you get into your education system, and perhaps then at work, and this cycle continues. And then suddenly, somewhere in, at the age of 40, 45, and you're sitting and you're thinking about where you have come, what kind of success you have achieved. And then you suddenly feel that there's so much more that you could have done, you know, and then you feel that I might not have achieved my potential. And this for me was the starting point. And I was really thinking about what could really fuel the whole idea of this whole potential, action, and result. And this is where I came across this whole concept of belief and certainty. If you start with a certain belief which fuels this whole potential, this potential then gets amplified significantly. Suddenly you're able to cut through the challenges that you are encountering, and that leads you to take massive action. Suddenly your ability to take action just kind of propels, you move into a different orbit, and this action then generates results, which in turn reinforces that belief, and this becomes a continuous loop of growth. And in real life, it works as a self-sustaining, system for personal and professional success. And that's the whole idea or the framework of BPAR, or believe, potential, action, results.
Okay, sir. Great. Great idea of BPAR cycle. So,
Yes.
moving on to the
Yeah.
next question. How do
Yeah. I
early
mean,
life experiences shape our belief system?
uh, yeah, I mean, see, we are what we have been, so we become what we've been born into, right? Our early experience, life experiences profoundly shape our belief system, because they almost form the foundation of how we see ourselves, others, and the
Yeah.
world around us, right? Positive experiences build empowering beliefs, while negative or inconsistent ones, can create limiting assumptions that influences our behavior well into adulthood, and suddenly that stays with us. Therefore, the question is, as you rightly asked, is how early experiences shapes belief. Our core belief formation begins with our childhood experiences. Uh, could be as simple as parental
Yeah.
warmth, or the encouragement that your parents give you, or often the neglect, becomes your core beliefs, and then the unconscious rules we live by. I think you asked me about self love and self worth in the beginning, and therefore a
Yeah.
lot of that stems from that, right? For example, consistent love may create the belief I'm worthy. While repeated criticism at home, a little mistake that is made, and the child is pulled up, and the child starts believing I'm not good enough. And those kind of beliefs stays with this child as they grow into an adult. So that's the first one, right? And the second one is this invisible lenses. These beliefs act like invisible spectacles, coloring every relationship, whether it's marriage, whether it's with your siblings, or decisions that you take at work or in personal life, and the general perceptions about yourself. And these beliefs, just stick around. They can either liberate us. For example, you can start thinking I can trust people, or often imprison us. Like people always let me down, and that becomes your limiting belief, right? And the third
Yeah.
one is this whole brain development. Your early experiences literally shape your brain architecture, and there's so much evidence and research in this. In the first few years of life, over a million neural connections form every second. Now, positive stimulation, in the early stages, strengthens those circuits for learning, resilience, growth, and achievement. While adverse experiences at home can weaken those foundations for future behavior and health. And therefore, this real life examples, real life, and there's so many real life examples that I could cite. Your confidence in school as a child growing up, you develop the belief that I can learn, which can create persistence and achievement, or trust in relationships, or the workplace behavior. All of this is embedded with the belief system that you're born with, or rather that you get from your parents while growing up. And it's extremely important, and they really shape your life experiences.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So, moving on to the next question. So, why do many talented people still struggle to grow or succeed?
Yeah, I think I kind of answered this earlier as well, and it's a very important question again. Why do many talented people really struggle to grow or succeed? I mean, if you were to look at so many talented people that we have seen in so many spheres of our lives, right, who struggle to grow or succeed, because success depends on more than just raw ability. As I said, it requires
Yeah.
mindset, it requires adaptability, it requires environment, it requires resilience, and therefore talent and hard work, while necessary, and you can't underestimate that, because you do need to put in the effort, and you need to have certain talent for it, which I feel is extremely crucial. But without belief, opportunity, and the right behaviors, progress often stalls. And there are many reasons for it. So one, as I said earlier, is the mindset and the limiting beliefs. The second one
Yeah.
is the environment and context, right? Success is not just personal, it's also situational. A person may thrive in one environment, but the same person might struggle in another environment if the culture, leadership, or the opportunities don't align with their strengths. So it's very important that you get the right environment and context. The third most important thing is the adaptability and relevance. Uh, in a rapidly changing world today, when so much is happening, talent alone isn't enough. There's so much technology evolution that has happened. AI is coming and hitting us in a very big way. Now, those who fail to evolve the skills, you need to continue investing in your skills, upskilling yourself, or your mindset, often get left behind. And even if they were high performers at one stage, right? So, this adaptability and relevance and building yourself over and over again, reinventing yourself over and over again, is an extremely important ingredient for success. The other piece that really comes to my mind is the execution gap, and I often see this. A lot of brilliant, talented people that I encounter and I've seen generate ideas, but really struggle when you push them towards translating them into consistent action. Now, without disciplined execution, your ability to really understand patterns, comprehend, and then kind of bring it together, analyze and bringing it together, really makes a massive difference. And therefore, a lot of the potential remains unrealized. And the last one in my mind would be resilience and emotional intelligence. So very important. Success requires you to bounce back from setbacks and build strong relationships. Talented individuals who lack resilience or interpersonal skills often plateau in their lives and their careers. And that is the reason why so many talented people often struggle in their lives.
Sir, how can a person call him or herself a successful person if he or she has self doubt?
Uh, see, I mean, see, if you were to really, success is such a subjective word. It's such a loaded word, right? And how would
Yeah.
someone call themselves successful or unsuccessful is often the lens that you see with. We all have our time, where so you need to invest in yourself. You need to invest in your growth. You need to have a vision. You need to have a purpose. You need to be very anchored around your why. If your why is extremely strong and compelling, you wouldn't mind how long it takes you to get what you want. Most often than
Yeah.
not, our comparisons is what what defines our success. A neighbor who's got a lovely house or a new car, and suddenly you feel that is what success is. But for me, success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal that you have in your mind. So, therefore, how do
Yeah.
you measure success? Is by really anchoring it around a strong vision. What do you really want to achieve in life? I mean, for a homemaker, it could be becoming the best homemaker possible. And then suddenly you find a spring in the stride of this homemaker. For someone who is at work, it doesn't mean that everyone needs to become an entrepreneur. Someone who is at work just becomes the best version of himself or herself every day when they come to work. That for me is success. You know, Someone who's very conscious and very aware of how they perform in the world around them. How they talk, how they interact with the environment. That for me is is success. So therefore, success could have many nuances, and I don't think there is a way that you can define success for any one individual. It is a very personal thing, right? And you need to, for me, what's very important is you need to anchor it around a strong why, a strong purpose, and then be very, very diligent about getting to that, and not be really worried about how long does it take you to get to that success that you say, and then don't stop at it, because as I said, the whole belief flywheel is about continuing on the journey. It's a flywheel concept, right? So you don't stop because you have achieved something. Let's say you want to earn $100,000 by the end of the year, and you've got to that
Yeah.
goal. Now that should be your success. You push yourself
Yeah.
to the next level, and then you continue after that. And then you need to have a bigger ambition. It's not just about hoarding and collecting for yourself, it's also about giving back to the society. Therefore, there are many dimensions of success, and I think you need to find your own definition of success, in short.
Yeah. So, moving on to the next question. How can someone rebuild their belief system after failure or self doubt?
Yeah, this is a brilliant question, Ashmeet. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
rebuilding a belief system after failure or self doubt is about consciously rewiring the way you interpret setbacks and re-establishing trust in yourself. Uh, it is less about erasing the past and more about using it as a fuel for your growth. And there are steps to rebuild this belief, which I've touched upon in the book as well. The first thing is reframe failure as feedback. Some most often than not, we don't celebrate failure. Uh, but for me, what's very important is you need to look at failure as a not seeing as a proof of inadequacy. Treat it like a data point. Ask, what did this teach me? For example, a failed business venture can reveal market gaps or personal blind spots that strengthen the next attempt.
Yeah.
So see yourself, that failure should be seen as a data point, and which is like a feedback which helps you move forward, rather than saying, okay, this didn't work for me and therefore I might not want to try it again. The second one is, reconnect with small wins. How often, Hashmir, and I'm sure the audience who are also seeing this, really celebrate the small
Yeah.
wins. You want to achieve something big, but that will not come in a day, in a fortnight, in a month. Maybe it would take years to achieve that. But you are taking those baby steps, right? You're taking those little steps to get to that goal.
Yeah.
Or how often do we really start acknowledging and celebrating those small wins? Each small success actually helps you rebuild your confidence and proves to you that the brain, that progress is possible and progress is happening. You know. So, for example, if I were to give you a simple example, which our audience might relate to, someone who's
Yeah.
struggling with fitness, and then you say that I want to lose a certain amount of weight, let's say a 10 kg weight by the end of the 6 months, and then you start the journey. Now celebrate that as a small win, right? Commit to a 10-minute daily walk, a small step to get to that goal of the 10 kg loss. But this consistent win will help you reignite that belief, and then you suddenly see that that you are much closer to that goal than when you started off. Uh, and another important thing, which is also very crucial, is to surround yourself with reinforcing voices. I think it's very important to have people that are really supportive, whether it's your mentors, peers, it's your spouse, people that really believe in you, or be part of communities that can really see your potential, which you might otherwise have overseen. So very important to have that kind of a strong ecosystem around you, which reinforces a lot of positivity and builds you as you move along. And then the last for me would be about visualizing potential, not just problems. The mind, we have a negative bias for negativity, right? I mean, we have a bias for
Yeah.
negativity, right? In many ways, the mind often magnifies failure, and you need to find a way of how do you counteract this by vividly imagining the future you want. Just reimagine what you really want to achieve, and therefore reinforce that, which reinforces this whole potential stage of the BPR cycle that I spoke about. So visualize potential,
Yeah.
not problems.
So, sir, have you like talked about BPAR cycle in your book also?
Yes, absolutely, and you must go through the book. It's the whole concept is around BPR. So and
Okay.
how do you amplify that, and how do you amplify your results, and then this becomes a virtuous cycle, and then a flywheel. And that's the whole context of the book. I mean, I've based this also on a context of where we are headed as a country. While the idea I was very strongly drawn towards, but I wanted to anchor it around a strong purpose, which was where the country was headed. And yes, absolutely, touch that whole framework, and also I've given some practical ways how you could believe that certainty muscle, or the belief muscle, in yourself.
Okay, sir. Great. So, next question is, what is the difference between belief and confidence?
uh, Again, a very interesting question again. So, and if you were to look at it, and often you tend to almost consider belief and confidence to be a very closely related, which it is. They're very closely related, but very very distinct. Now, belief is the internal conviction that you are capable, while
Yeah.
confidence is an external expression of that conviction, through actions, words, and demeanor. So, confidence is what you exude or express to the world. Belief is what you have within you, and that belief is the foundation. While confidence, for me, is the visible outcome. And that's what it is, and they really work together. Your belief fuels your confidence. So that's where, while I've drawn the stark difference between belief and confidence, but they tend to work together. If you believe you can succeed, you're more likely to act confidently, right? And you've seen this in your personal life as well, right?
Yeah.
uh, Confidence, in turn, then reinforces that belief. Acting confidently over and over again leads to better results, and even better results, which further strengthens your inner belief. And again, if I were to take a simple example, a musician may believe they have talent, extremely talented, but only after performing successfully on stage do they really show the confidence in front of an audience. That's the little difference between belief and confidence.
Yeah. Correct. So, next question is, how can people stay motivated when results are slow?
It's so difficult, right? I mean, to your question again, it's so difficult to stay motivated, right, when you don't see the results. And therefore, staying motivated when results are slow is about shifting focus from the destination to the process. And I think I've heard MS Dhoni speak about it. He says always invest in the process. Bhagavad Gita also talks about not be obsessed with the result, but lean into the whole system and the processes, right? And if you only measure success by big outcomes, which I spoke about earlier, the way feels discouraging. But if you learn to value progress, habits, and small wins, and motivation then becomes sustainable. And therefore, this leads to uh, better results. And that's how uh, people can stay motivated when the results are not forthcoming. Therefore, there are many ways you could do this. One is reframe the whole definition of progress. See effort uh, itself as success. you know just don't think about the end result. See the effort that you're putting on a daily basis as a stepping stone to a success. Every step forward is a proof to yourself, that you're moving in the right direction, even if results are not visible yet. We need to understand that results don't come just because you have started something, it you'd have to lean on. You have to push yourself through the thick and thin, through all the struggles, all the challenges that you encounter, and definitely then you would see progress, results come through or success come through. So therefore, it's very important to reframe what how we look at success, and that's the first one, which is reframing progress. The second one, as I said earlier, also is about celebrating micro wins, and I'm not going to touch upon that here again. And the third one again is anchoring to beliefs, not results. Results may be delayed, but beliefs keep the flywheel spinning, which is very important. Now, that level of certainty, you may not, you might be encountering a lot of challenges as you're moving forward, but just being steadfast and believing that you would get to that end goal will keep you moving. And that trust that consistent action compounds over time. That is an extremely important belief to have. And also, one needs to track the invisible gains. Skills, resilience, and discipline often grow before external results show up. And I've seen this, in my personal life. If I look at myself 20 years back, how I was, 10 years back, how I was, and today, I'm a very different individual. And there is many ways that you could do this. Journaling progress helps you see growth that isn't obvious. So, those whole habit that you need to develop, like journaling, writing down, can also help you track the invisible gains, and then staying connected to the larger purpose, the reason, the larger why, is very, very important, and that can keep you, moving forward when the results are slow or when motivation isn't there.
Yeah, people tend to give up when the results are slow. So, what is your take on that? Like people
Yeah,
give up when they feel that the results will be slow.
yeah. See, motivation thrives when you stop obsessing over the scoreboard, and start valuing the practice. I think quite often we don't value the practice or the process or the system, and the
Yeah,
results, as I always tell people that I know, are the lagging indicators. Your belief in consistent action are the leading indicators. So whenever you feel that you're really falling behind and you're not doing something well, you just need to go back and see what's your belief system. What are the consistent actions that you're taking on a daily basis? Is this going to be enough to get you to the result you want? And I think that you'll get your answer. For me, that's very important. So don't get too obsessed with the results. They are the lagging indicator. Focus on the belief and the consistent action, and they are the ones that will give you the right direction.
yeah. So, moving on to the next question: how can small wins help in building long term belief?
Yeah, I like that you asked me this question, because I touched upon the small wins, right? And small wins
Yeah,
for me are the building blocks of long term belief, because they provide tangible proof. Our mind always needs that tangible proof, because it's analytical, right? Prefrontal cortex believes in analyzing and looking at the data around us, and therefore this tangible proof helps you understand that progress is possible, even when the ultimate goal feels far away. So there is this goal that you want to get to. This is where you have started, and there is a journey that you need to take. Now, why does small wins matter, as you've asked? Is first, it gives you the
yeah,
evidence of capability. Each small success is a signal to your brain, I can do this. And it starts multiplying, right? Running for 5 minutes daily proves you're capable of building endurance even before you've started competing in a marathon. uh,
yeah,
why small wins matter? It helps you build momentum. It's a momentum builder. Success compounds. Small wins create forward motion, makes it easier to keep going, right? uh, Belief, it's also belief reinforcement. Wins, however minor or small, helps you validate your effort and strengthen your belief in your own potential, and suddenly your potential amplifies. Suddenly we see a lot of people, what you believed you did not have potential for, suddenly you find that your potential has expanded significantly, and then you're taking massive action, and then your results are also amplified, and then suddenly you start seeing everything is falling together, right? So that belief reinforcement happens. Resilience against doubt. There is always this whole challenge that happens, right? When things are not moving well, when results are slow, you start self-doubting. Now small wins act as anchors in those areas, reminding you that progress is happening. For example, a writer finishing one chapter. I mean, for me, when I started this book, even writing that one small chapter was a challenge. And I promised myself, and this was during the COVID days, let me start something. I wanted to put this out on LinkedIn. I never visualized that it would translate into a book, which you see today. But that writing that
Yeah.
one note really started moving things forward. And suddenly I realized this was like a 264 to 65 pages book, which was crafted. And therefore, that, that one chapter makes you feel that progress. And that's what happened to me. So therefore, resilience against doubt. So those are the ways, how the small wins can help in building long-term belief.
Yeah. So next question is, what role does failure play in strengthening the belief?
Yeah, our society doesn't really encourage us to really celebrate failure, and I've seen a lot of countries, failure is often appreciated, and in fact you're encouraged. If you don't fail, you are not seen to be successful. I don't think we really encourage that as much, uh, but I firmly believe that failure plays a crucial role in strengthening belief, because it tests so many things. It tests your conviction, it reveals hidden strengths, and provides the feedback necessary to grow. uh, Instead of weakening belief, failure, if you're able to reframe, becomes the proof that belief is resilient and adaptable. So as I said, it tests conviction, it reveals your hidden potential, what you're capable of. It provides feedback. Failure is a data point. For me, it's just a data point. It's not to be taken as something that is very, very disparaging, or showing that you're above, or proving something negative about your self-worth. It shows what doesn't work for you, what's not really working for you at this stage, and therefore guiding you towards what does. Just take this as a data point. It helps you build resilience. Each recovery from failure strengthens the belief that you can bounce back. Now every time you have seen, you're able to overcome from that failure and move forward, and then suddenly you start believing that you can achieve more than you really thought about, right? This creates an unshakable confidence in your ability to endure those challenges. So so yeah so so for me, failure isn't the opposite of belief. It's the forge where belief is tested, refined, and strengthened. And when you embrace failure as part of the cycle, belief becomes more resilient, authentic, and enduring.
Yes, sir. So next question, that what does certainty means and how can someone develop it?
Yeah, I mean, certainty or belief, as I've been dwelling upon, and also discuss this in detail in my book, and I hope people get a chance to read the book and probably take this really in a very big way. Certainty means, or belief means, being completely free from doubt, not an iota of a doubt that you have in your mind, an unwavering conviction that something is true or will happen, no matter what. And it can be developed through knowledge, your own experience, and consistent action that just continues to reinforce that belief. And therefore, what does this certainty really mean? And if I were to literally look at the meaning of certainty, it says is a state of being confident without doubt, often rooted in evidence, conviction, or faith. uh, and it can be objective, right, based on proof. So if
Yeah,
you see something which is tangible, it never therefore it gives you some amount of belief. Or subjective, which can come from your grounding, from your belief system, from your religious practices, which is based on strong belief or faith, right? And therefore,
yeah,
certainty acts like a lighthouse in a storm. It provides you the right direction and stability when circumstances feel a little bit chaotic. So and there are many ways one can develop the certainty, which I've touched again in detail in the book. Is by building knowledge and evidence. You can leverage your own experience in many ways. Repeated practice and lived experiences strengthens your conviction. uh, Ways you could strengthen your belief system by aligning your beliefs with your values and purpose. Certainty often comes from faith in something which is much bigger than your immediate outcomes. I mean, it's something that really drives you on a day-to-day basis, right? So it how strengthening those belief systems, and then taking consistent actions, reframing self-doubt as growth, and not being overtly attached to it. So that's how you essentially you basically develop certainty as you move along.
yes, sir. So the next question is, how can individuals stay focused despite of distractions and comparisons? Like we have comparisons ki like he's doing better or she is doing better, why I'm not. So how can they individuals stay focused in that case?
Yeah, again, I mean, if you look at your question, I mean, there are two parts, right? One is the distractions. There's so much distractions today. I mean, there's an attention
Yeah,
deficit, right? We are almost becoming social media animals in a way, right? There are
yeah,
algorithms which are thrown at us, and even without being us aware, we are falling for it. So much distractions, right? And how do we control our mind? So that's one part. And the other part is this whole comparison, right? And we're living in an age of Instagram. Everything seems so grandiose, so amazing. The family, who's my neighbor, is perhaps having a brilliant day, but we are not understanding the kind of problems that the family might be encountering. Everything seems so nice out there. So therefore, staying focused despite those distractions and comparisons, requires building that inner clarity and discipline, so that external noise doesn't derail your progress. And I don't want to sound too mechanical, and I think at the end of the day, we are all humans, right? And first is we need to stay as humans, uh, and enjoy what we do, but be very clear on the choices that we make, where we really want to go, what is our goal in life. And it could be anything small or big, it doesn't matter. And then being very, very steadfast and true to it. And there are many ways that, strategies, again, which I've touched in the book, and maybe I can just briefly talk about, is really anchoring to your why, which I spoke earlier also. Clear purpose acts like a compass. When you know why you're doing something, distractions lose their power. You know, you can always go into a social media and spend some, half an hour, but then you're doing it a lot more deliberately and consciously than otherwise. So therefore, your why is very, very important. And it's very, very important to find that why as early as you can. Limit comparison. Comparison often breeds envy or discouragement. We know that. uh, Therefore, you need to shift from others' pace to your own progress. What the other person is doing is not as important as what your own progress is, right? And therefore, being more focused in that is where then, as they say, your energy flows where your focus goes, right? So focus on yourself, and you'll see definitely, that you are making good progress. Also, create boundaries for distractions. It's important that you use some
yeah,
practical tools on a day-to-day basis just to stay away from some of those distractions. One way could be time blocking. Turning off the notifications when you're doing something very important. Just turn off the notifications. Don't look. Say you maybe, 4 to 5 hour detox that you have from all digital devices. Or setting focus hours. So saying at the end of the day, I would sit with my diary and then I'll just note down what my plans are for tomorrow, and I'm not going to get distracted by anyone. Forget about the social media, not by my pet dog or my family members or anyone. Just spending time to yourself, and then I also spoke about celebrating small wins. Practical mindfulness is another very important practice that someone could do. Train your mind, to return to the present moment. It's so important to stay in the present. You're always thinking. I mean, our minds spend so much time, anticipating what's going to happen moving forward, and always thinking in the past. But if you were to stay in the present, so you feel a lot more empowered and a lot more in control. And then finally, I would encourage everyone to buy the book, read the book, and understand this whole concept of, belief, potential, action, and result. And I think that's another way which would also help people focus on their growth and on their personal achievements, and not get distracted with things around them.
yes, sir. So the last question is that if readers take away just one lesson from your book, what it should be?
Yeah, I mean, if I were to really, talk to your readers, and if they were to take away just one lesson from the belief flywheel, it should be this: belief is the true engine of growth. Once you believe in your own
Hmm.
potential, and you believe in your own
Yeah,
dreams and your own progress, action becomes natural.
yeah.
It just becomes coincidental. Results will follow, and then belief strengthens itself, creating unstoppable momentum, and then it becomes a flywheel. And for me, why this matters, and I would also mention this, is belief precedes achievement. Without belief, talent and effort, as I said earlier, often stall. You know, momentum compounds. Your small actions
Yes, sir.
and results will reinforce your belief, making progress easier over time. And resilience grows over time. Even setbacks become fuel when belief is strong, because you trust the cycle will carry you forward. So, my core message would be that success uh, isn't just about talent or hard work, it's about belief. When belief spins the flywheel, everything else falls in place.
So yeah. So, sir, it was thank you so much. It was great talking to you, and you shared a really lot with us, and your beautiful words and kind words were very thoughtful. So, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rashmi, for this lovely session that we had a conversation. And I hope your viewers find this useful and they go on to buy the
Yeah.
book, read the book. And I believe
Yes.
there are many flywheels that could be created, which could propel our country towards greatness,
Yes, sir.
which it richly deserves. Thank you so much for this opportunity again, Rashmi.
Thank you so much, sir. Have a nice day.
Same to you.
हम सभी ने नीचे बुक का लिंक डिस्प्ले कर रहे हैं। आप सभी से रिक्वेस्ट है कि इस किताब को ज़रूर पढ़ें। द बिलीफ फ्लाईव्हील सिर्फ एक बुक नहीं है, ये एक माइंडसेट शिफ्ट है, एक स्ट्रक्चर्ड अप्रोच है जो आपको अपनी लाइफ को कॉन्शियसली डिज़ाइन करने में हेल्प करता है। ये किताब आपको सिखाती है कैसे बिलीव आपके पोटेंशियल को अनलॉक करता है, कैसे अलाइन्ड एक्शन रिजल्ट्स क्रिएट करता है और कैसे ये पूरा साइकिल आपकी ग्रोथ को मल्टीप्लाई करता है। चाहे आप एक स्टूडेंट हो, प्रोफेशनल हो, एंटरप्रेन्योर हो या कोई भी जो भी अपनी लाइफ में क्लैरिटी, डायरेक्शन ढूंढ रहा है, ये बुक आपको एक प्रैक्टिकल रोड मैप देती है। अगर आप अपनी थिंकिंग को अपग्रेड करना चाहते हैं, अपने बिलीफ सिस्टम को स्ट्रांग बनाना चाहते हैं और अपनी लाइफ में कंसिस्टेंट प्रोग्रेस लाना चाहते हैं, तो ये किताब आपके लिए है। थैंक यू सो मच एवरीवन फॉर जॉइनिंग दिस बुक लॉन्च इवेंट। डू नॉट फॉरगेट टू लाइक, शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब। हम बहुत जल्द एक नए ऑथर के साथ वापस आएंगे। थैंक यू सो मच।